And so happy to have on the line with us Senator Barbara Boxer, U.S. Senator brilliantly representing the state of California. Hillary supporter, HillaryClinton.com, of course. You can tweet her at Senator Boxer. And Senator Boxer, welcome back to the program. It's been a while.
It's great to hear the sound of your voice again.
Well, thank you. Thank you. It's so nice to have you with us. So today is election day. So much history is being made. Donald Trump is already apparently suing because Nevada kept the polls open because people were in line to vote.
Well, you know, isn't it a crime to allow people to vote who have the right to vote?
Apparently. I mean,
that's how he sees the world. Look, if he sees the world this way, if he doesn't win, it's rigged. If he wins, it's not rigged, you know?
Right.
If you vote for him, you could vote at 1 in the morning. But if you vote for Hillary, you're a criminal. I mean, this is like playground rules.
Yeah. I'm guessing this must be a real consequential moment for you. I know that there's actually a video cam on Susan B. Anthony's gravestone. You know, she was arrested in 1872 for voting illegally and convicted, actually. And people are putting their "I voted" stickers on her tombstone. There's like this long line, a block-long line of people to put those stickers on there. Your thoughts?
Well, it's very touching. And one of the things I often say is how underestimated the suffragettes are. Even in, you know, textbooks, I don't think people recognize today how the women suffered to get just that right to vote. We didn't get it till 1920. Women were arrested by a Democratic president, Wilson.
Yep.
And they were force-fed in prison.
Yep. And
suffered mightily for this right. And, you know, I am so moved by the whole story. And I really see the women's movement in America starting with the suffragettes. And then I see it with people like Gloria Steinem and Friedan and the group of women who were like ahead of me. And after that, it was Anita Hill and the Year of the Woman that I got to the Senate with another Clinton on the ballot. And it's so emotional for me. As you know, I'm not running. And one of the most incredible things is my successor is going to be a minority woman. And this, to me, is heartwarming.
Yeah, yeah, it's truly extraordinary. I also, apropos of that, the suffragettes famously always wore white, or almost always. And when Hillary Clinton gave her speech, as I recall, it was at the convention, and at one of the debates, she was dressed all in white. And I thought, this is a signal. What do you think?
Oh, yes.
That white pantsuit.
Whether it was subliminal or planned, she wore, as I remember, red, white, and blue suits to each of the 3 debates.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And, and she did accept the nomination in white, which, as you know, is the traditional suffragette outfit that they wore as they marched through the streets.
Yeah.
And, we haven't had time to focus on the moment. You know, what could be happening here.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't had time. I'm really happy you're looking at it because there's so much more at stake than this. This is, yes, having a first woman president so qualified, so ready to lead. But the other issues that are on the table are so overwhelming. You know, who's going to have their finger on the nuclear button for starters, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, who's going to stand up and fight for all of us, regardless of the color of our skin? It's just extraordinary what is at stake here.
I agree. I'm getting calls from people around the country. I've had several people call and say that they've had big, burly white guys, usually wearing sunglasses like they're some kind of FBI agent or something, walk up to them in line as they're standing in line to vote and start demanding to see their ID in an aggressive way. There's another guy who called in and somebody had put a Trump sign 10 feet in front of the door and then stood there and defied anybody to take it down, kind of basically cowed everybody. We had another fellow, his wife and his mother showed up to vote. His mother was 80. Her driver's license wasn't current. His wife's address had changed when she married him, and she hadn't updated her driver's license. They let him vote. They didn't let the 2 women with him vote in Alabama. When are we going to get an affirmative right to vote in the United States? When are we going to stop playing these damn games around voting that the Republicans, jump through 36 hoops and pay $200 for birth certificates and copies of your marriage license and all this other nonsense? Pardon me, I'm really pissed off about this.
This issue of voter suppression is one of the major civil rights issues of our time. I wrote a law called the Line Act, L-I-N-E, saying that it stands for a line to interfere with national elections. And the idea was to make sure that we never had any place in America where you had to wait longer than 30 minutes. Well, when I testified, Bill Nelson and I, he's from Florida, in front of the Rules Committee, I was shocked that the Republican chairman, who came up to me and said, "This is a great idea," refused to move the bill. And it's for obvious reasons. When people vote, Democrats win. When people don't vote, Republicans win. What does that say? I say to my Republican friends, I have a lot of Republican friends, a lot of whom are not even going to vote in this election. Why don't you have a program that attracts everybody, from the young to the old, the rich to the poor, whatever color of skin, whatever religion? Why not have that debate with the Democrats?
Right.
Who's got the better platform? Instead of trying to suppress the vote. But I do want to say, anyone in the sound of my voice who's witnessed a crime at the polling place, which is what you're telling me, that people are bullying folks and trying to dissuade them from vote, that is completely illegal. They can't make themselves a monitor and be standing right there. So they got to take pictures of the thing. They should call the Justice Department, record it, and then later, if they have been dissuaded from voting, or if there was fear in their heart and they walked away, we have a record of it, and we can go after those people, get their pictures. I mean, I really think this is the time to use the smartphone if you've got one.
Yeah, absolutely. You can also call 1-866-OUR-VOTE, and that's the there's attorneys. That's Public Citizen, I think, or Common Cause. It's
Could you put out the number one more time?
Certainly. It's 866-OUR, O-U-R, VOTE, V-O-T-E.
Yeah, just dial it while you're standing online.
Yeah.
What you're saying, I mean, this is, and I just want to mention, the Supreme Court, which is one of the most crucial issues out there, they're the ones who overturn on a 5-4 basis the Voting Rights Act, Section 5.
Right.
Section 5 was so important because it basically said if you're a county or a state that has a history of suppression or making it difficult or discrimination, and there are even a couple in California, believe it or not, a couple of jurisdictions, you have to get clearance before you change your voter ID laws. And, of course, that was thrown out. Right. Now you can do it, and then somebody has to sue. And on a bright note, the courts have been really overturning these voter suppression laws. But it was so much better when Title V stood tall of the Civil Rights Act, and then we had this pre-approval needed from the Justice Department. They threw it out. Another reason we have to have a Supreme Court that cares about our democracy. Yeah,
and now we discover 868 polling places in those states have been closed. So, 2-hour lines become 4-hour lines or 6-hour lines. Yeah. I mean, this is
it's awful.
Yeah, this has been part of a strategy for a long, long time. Are you familiar with Paul Weyrick's 1980 speech when he was helping run the Reagan campaign?
Remind me.
Paul Weyrick was one of the grand old men of the conservative movement. He was the co-founder of ALEC, the American Legislative Exchange Council. He was the co-founder of the Heritage Foundation. Yeah. And in 1980, he was helping run the Reagan campaign, and he was speaking to a group of Christian Republican activists in a church in Houston. And this is just a 20-second clip. I'll share it with you real quickly. Yeah, Here's what he had to say. This is Paul Weyrick, 1980.
Now, many of our Christians have what I call the goo-goo syndrome, good government. They want everybody to vote. I don't want everybody to vote. Elections are not won by a majority of people. They never have been from the beginning of our country, and they are not now. As a matter of fact, our leverage in the elections, quite candidly, goes up as the voting populace goes down.
That's the co-founder of ALEC, which is the source of these bills for voter suppression.
Let's be clear. That man was honest.
Yes.
He admitted he admitted that voter suppression is what the right wing wants to do. Now, it's Donald Trump says it the same way when he says, oh, I'm saying all my supporters, get out, to those places. You know what I'm talking about. And make sure people are, not cheating. You know where those places are.
Right.
I mean, he is despicable. And I have never said that in my life about any presidential candidate. This is such an important day for this country because it really, as Hillary says, it's going to show the world who we are as a people. And I am hopeful but nervous because I'm always nervous on Election Day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm right now talking to you. I'm heading to a get out the vote drive in California here. One of the things, we're so blue, but we have to vote. We have to bring in those 55 electoral votes for Hillary. So we've got to get out there.
Right. There you go.
I'm going to push those out there. But I'm very, very glad that you are focused on this voter suppression. I think it's one of the most dangerous things we've seen. The only bright spot for us has been that the courts have stepped up and essentially said, are you kidding? One of the courts, I guess you know that decision in North Carolina said,
knocked it down.
Targeted the black community with precision.
Yes, surgical precision. Hang on just a second.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann. Visit ThomHartmann.com for audio and video archives.
I'm sorry, Senator Barbara Boxer, thanks so much for being with us today.
You're welcome.
Great talking with you. We'll be right back.